Nicki, thanks so much for coming on. I saw
thank
some
you.
YouTube videos of you that your boyfriend sent me, and I was in love. The jazz is awesome. So you're from Australia, so let's go back
Okay.
to when you started to play any kind of a musical instrument, and it didn't start out with the bass.
No, it wasn't the bass, it was the piano. And I think I was 4. I think I was 4 years old.
So you're 4 years old and you're piano and you're in Australia, and are you thinking in your mind eventually that you're just going to be this really hip, cool jazz performer that's going to play the world?
No, for years I only listened to classical music and played classical music on piano and then later the flute. So I didn't even know jazz was out there until I was a teenager.
When did you graduate to the bass?
My sister had this band and wanted me to play in her band, and my older sister, and she's a musician as well. And I liked the sound of it. There was one at school that I started just playing around on, and I just liked the deep sound of the bass, and I thought, what a cool instrument. And then I just taught myself basically from then on.
When did you start to play professionally, and did it happen in Australia, or did you start to travel right away?
I did travel around Australia. I mean, touring, if you're an Australian musician, touring means touring New Zealand or the islands around Australia. Went to Fiji, Vanuatu, and places like this, New Caledonia. And you do like little jazz gigs around the islands of Australia and also in Australia. So that started when I was probably 18.
So 18, when did you know that this was going to be your life, that you'd kind of made it? And we'll talk about how far you've come. But when did you know that you were going to do this, that you were going to be a premier vocalist and you were going to be, you know, a hot jazz player?
I didn't really know. I knew I had to be in music because growing up as a teenager, it was the only thing that really made me happy. You know, it was
In the
anything I
beautiful
really
country of
loved.
Australia, that's the only thing that made you happy?
Well, there's a lot of things to like, but I happen to feel at home in music. You know, being around other kids playing music, that was my whole teenage life, was just being in concert bands, the Marching Koalas. Yes, I was in a band called the Marching Koalas, being in Australia.
That is a very big instrument that is lying on the floor now, which you will play momentarily.
Great.
That's a really big instrument for a little gal like you. So how does one get oneself around such a big instrument?
It's a good question. You need a wheel. You must have a wheel. And I've been wheeling that thing around, all around New York City on the subway, buses, in Sydney. It never bothered me. I didn't think about it. I was so hungry to learn and hungry to play gigs that you just did what you had to do.
How did you end up playing with a famed Les Paul at the Iridium in New York? How did this whole thing come to pass?
I was actually just freelancing around New York and playing in lots of different groups. I had a group with 2 wonderful guitar players, John Tropez and David Spinoza, and we were playing a mixture of jazz and R&B. And it was a really cool little group, a cool trio. And after we'd been rehearsing for a while and we'd actually played in public a couple of gigs, they said, we got to sit in with Les. He'll love this. I said, I've been meaning to go to that Les Paul gig forever. Let's do it. This is about 1990.
That didn't scare you? That would be very off-putting for me. But you were ready to do it.
Well, we had repertoire. It was rehearsed. And I think if you come to New York, you really have to throw yourself in to everything that is New York. So I just went down there with them, and I'm on stage with the 2 guitar players, and then Les Paul just turned around and said, okay, you guys can sit down, but leave the girl up here. And
leave the girl up here. I love that.
I think that was the quote.
And he was how old when he said that?
Oh,
80s?
Approaching 90.
90.
No, yeah.
Because we just lost him not so long ago.
Exactly. I think he was early 80s at that point.
Now,
Yeah.
when you're playing with Les Paul, you know, the father of guitar, for lack of a better term, what is that like?
Different every week, because there were different guests that would come down, and it was sort of like a who's who of guitar there sometimes, you know, jazz and rock and everything, and singers. I met a lot of really wonderful people through Les. And it was a show on stage, and it was also a show backstage. because a whole lot of people.
That's the book you should write.
It's a great, oh, it was some great stories, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter backstage. He was very funny, and he liked a good laugh, and he liked his role of being a guitar player that had influenced so many, you know, rock guitar players and jazz people. He loved it. He just loved being in that element, which is why he did it way up till the very end, till he was 94.
So now you are embarking on another part of your career. And what are you setting out to do now?
I'm touring a lot more than I was. I'm in Europe a few times a year. I go to Japan.
Where you're huge, and tell the folks listening to this how huge you are in Japan.
I do a lot of recording. I do a lot of records for the Venus record label, and I do quite a few every year. And
why are you such
wonderful.
a hit there, do you think? Why is Japan so receptive?
They love jazz. They love jazz. But they also like singers. They like a certain kind of singing. And they just embrace this music. It's really hard to explain it, but it's just been a really wonderful thing to go there and to have a wonderful fan base there.
So when Nicki Parrott plays and the audience listens, what should they expect from you?
Very good question. I want to entertain, and that's what I learned from Les Paul. The biggest thing was entertain them, but give them quality. So I want to tell a story. I want to give as much emotion into my performance. I want to play with great people on stage, but I want to entertain. I want them to feel that their hour out of their day, that they're sitting there. Sometimes you get a smile, you might get a tear, and that's the best thing you can ask for sometimes, that you've moved somebody by doing what you love to do.
Well, thank you for moving to Connecticut and getting engaged to a Connecticut guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going
I
to
love
hear
it
a
here.
lot of you. And I'm going to let the viewers now listen to what it is that you do.
Oh, great.
And what are you going to play?
A classic, Peggy Lee's Fever.
Love it. All right, let's hear it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anne. Okay. Maybe a little encouragement from whoever wants to. Never knew how much I love you. Never knew how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever. Ba-dum de ba boom boom boom, va ba dum dum. Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name. I know you're gonna treat me right. You give me fever. When you kiss me, fever. When you hold me tight, fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever. That is something you won't know. Fever isn't such a new thing. Fever started long ago. Romeo loved Juliet. Juliet, she felt the same. And when he put his arms around her, he said, Julie, baby, you're my flame. Thou giveth fever. When we kiss a fever with thy flaming youth. Fever, ooh, I'm on fire. And fever, yeah, I burn forsooth. Captain Smith and Pocahontas had a very mad affair. And when her daddy tried to kill him, she said, Daddy, don't you dare, he gives me fever. with his kisses, fever when he holds me tight. Fever, I'm his missus, so daddy better treat him right. Now you've listened to my story, and here's the point that I have made. Chicks were born to give you fever, Fahrenheit or centigrade, we give you fever. When we kiss you, fever, if you live, you'll learn. Fever till you sizzle, what a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn. Va 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 va.